I grew up being what I would call a weekend Christian. My parents divorced when I was 8, and I lived with my mom and my stepdad and went to church with my dad on the weekends. My dad was a strong Christian and raised me to know the Bible, and I was always pro-life. As I grew older, I steered more towards partying and rebelling than the Christian lifestyle. What was dabbling in my teens turned onto full-on alcoholism and drug addiction for the next 20 years. I got my first DWI in 2004, and my record bloomed from there. Drug charges, driving without a license, failure to appear, warrants out for my arrest, in and out of jail, and probation. In 2010, I became pregnant with my now 9-year-old son, Killian. I always wondered why, when women found out they were pregnant, they couldn't just clean up for their child. So I did just that. I had a good job, a stable income, and a place to live. I was able to quit using meth, alcohol, and cigarettes and have a healthy pregnancy. I promised myself that I wouldn't use or drink after I had Killian, but that only lasted a few months. I started drinking and using again. I ended up getting my second DWI when he was 4 months old. I lost my car, my job, my home. For the next 5 years that I ran around in active addiction, I made terrible choices. I was in and out of relationships full of domestic abuse, both mentally and physically. Unfortunately, during this time, I found myself pregnant again. This time, I wasn't able to clean up. Homeless and addicted to meth, I decided an abortion was the only answer. 3 people drove me to the abortion facility, one of whom was the baby's father. They dropped me off, and I went in alone. The nurse said I was a little over 9 weeks pregnant and that I was healthy because my hemoglobin count was high. That was not true. I weighed less than 100 pounds. I was drunk and I hadn't slept for days because of the use of meth. They told me I'd only feel a slight discomfort. Not in my experience. Instead, it felt as if my insides were being ripped apart. I was screaming, crying, and thrashing, and nurses had to hold me down. Everyone said that an abortion would be the answer to my problems. That was not true. That abortion killed what spirit I had left. I left there feeling worthless and empty and couldn't believe what I had done. I fell deeper into addiction and deeper into darkness. From there, I self-medicated with more drugs, more alcohol, and more men. Anything to fill the void of what I had done. I became pregnant again and had a second abortion, this time at 5 weeks. After that, I can't really describe how I felt. Hollow and lost and alone. I tried to find my way through many things, but nothing helped. People say abortion providers care about women. Not in my experience. I called the abortion facility for aftercare, and they treated me like I wasn't a person, telling me they couldn't help me any longer. I wondered where I could go. I was too ashamed to tell anyone about the abortions. Just recently, while sharing my story with someone, he said to me, "Well, Tori, that isn't their job. Their job isn't to take care of you." And I realized he was right. It is not their job to worry about my health or women's health, and certainly not their job to worry about the health of my babies. It wasn't until years later that my apartment got raided for meth that I decided I needed to clean up my life. I went to treatment, and it was there that I got saved. I learned that secrets keep you sick, so I gave up all the secrets I had stuffed inside, all the horrible things I had done, all the horrible things that had been done to me. I was able to give it all up, all except the abortions. I was not going to share that. However, I had no idea that the physical and emotional trauma that having these abortions would cause me. The anguish of taking my children's lives was more than I could bear. I took away my children. I took away siblings for my son. I thought the pain would just go away with sobriety, but it didn't. God had a different plan for me. I bought Luana Stoltenberg's book, Singing in the Wilderness, and while reading it, I thought, this is my story. So I praised God for not giving up on me. I contacted Luana, we met, and she told me about an abortion recovery Bible study called Forgiven and Set Free that is offered through Pregnancy Resources. I started the Bible study, and it was a life-transforming 10 weeks. I can remember the moment that I felt the weight lift off my shoulders. The chains broke, and all the burden and shame was gone. It was exactly the healing that I needed. We were able to name our children and have a memorial service for them. I wrote them a poem and thanked God for taking care of my children when I did not. Just as I think about loved ones that I have lost and wonder who they would be today, I still wonder about my children. I wonder what they would look like, what their hobbies would be. I wonder what row we would sit in at church. I wonder if they would sit by me or sit by their older brother, Killian. I can wonder all these things today, but without the guilt and shame, without the physical sickness that it once caused me. I know that they are in heaven and I will be seeing them again someday, because today I am a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, grateful to God for the forgiveness He has given me, and I'm looking forward to the plans God has for me in the future. Thank you.